Good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round two of the FRL Formula Racing League PlayStation 5 PureSimGear Sprint Sunday. We're here tonight at Suzuka in Japan for round two of the championship after we saw the fantastic opening round at the Hungaroring last week. We've got around about 25 drivers tonight, maybe one or two more sneaking in, competing around the infamous Suzuka track. And as you will see from the headlights and the lack of visibility, it is a night race. We've got practice starting at 7 PM local time, qualifying at 9 PM, sprint race at 10, and the feature race at 11 PM local time. So good to have you all with us. If you are joining live, please do drop a like on the video, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please whack that button for the FRL Racing League to see more races throughout the week and the season. So got around about 12 minutes left of free practice. Drivers are just fine-tuning the setups, getting ready for the qualifying. Then we have a 15-minute qualifying session where both Pro and Am drivers will be competing together for the pole position. And then we have the 20-minute sprint and 40-minute feature race. You may notice on the left-hand side of your screen, we have now on console got the colour coding for driver classes. So your red drivers next to their numbers are your Am drivers, and the white are your pros. So that's going to make my life a lot easier, but also make the guys who are racing be able to see who they're up against on the grid. So, just to bring you through the championship standings. So obviously already round one, but we'll take you through it. So we'll start with the pros. So for the pros, you've got Rapid Duck, who is leading the way with 40 points. He had, where did he finish last week? So just trying to see where he finished last week. I'll have a look at that later. So standings, back to standings. Rapid Duck is for first place with the pros. You've got Moggs in P2, Canesa in P3. Then you have Romeria in 4th on 34 points. Will Friedman in 5th. You then have Shadow Lancer in 6th. We have Wuftka in P7. He's currently P4 on free practice right now. We then have Moss on P8, who I believe is not racing tonight. He's unfortunately missing. 9th is Chris Gedman. He's currently, let's just see where he is on the grid tonight. He's currently all the way down in 25th. He's not yet set a time, but he's on track. He's a 79 Porsche. Chris currently finds himself in 9th in the championship. 10th we have Morex. 11th we have Palermo. 13th we have Liam Knott. 14th we have Mark Conway. And 15th we have Frank. Now Axel Conway and Frank didn't actually race last week, so they're both on 0 points, but that is your top 13, shall I say, for the pros. Now for the AMs, we have Stereotypy currently leading the championship with 40 points. And he is currently 3rd on your grid, the highest AM driver there, so he's currently shaping up to have another good weekend. Right, where was I? So, Stereotypy in 1st, Anderson is in 2nd with 38 points. We then have Jay Brooker in 3rd. We have Gabry in 4th, Rogers in 5th, MPL 6th. We have Naisbit in 7th. McCutcheon in 8th, Hugo Cito in 9th, Jack Slater in 10th, and then we have Vanek in 11th. Jack Davison is 12th, Knight is 13th, that's AMR Vantage, Chef in 14th, and the rest were reserves, which were Pakas Houlihan, BMG Lucas, Tom Matthews, The Slayer, Stones and Sarge respectively were your reserves, so they did not race last week. So that is the standings. Just to remind you, top 3 for pros is Rapid Duck, Moggs and Canesa, and top 3 for your AMs is Stereotypy, Anderson and Brooker. We'll see how those respective drivers get on tonight. Just to bring you some of the results from last week. So Stereotypy from the AMs won the sprint race with Anderson second and Brooker came third in the AMs. For the pros, Rapid Duck came first, Moggs second and Canesa's third. And then for the feature race in the AMs, we had Vantage first, Anderson second and Naisbitt third. Those were your race results from last week. And then for the pros, we had Canesa, Morex and Liam Knott. So Canesa having 2 good races. He finished third and first respectively, hence why he's kind of leading that. Well, he's in third place in the championship. So, that's his championship standings after race 1. I'm sure it'll get a little bit more complex as we go through the weeks and the points obviously get added to the board. And we've got about 7 minutes left of free practice. Temperatures are extremely chilly tonight. If I was actually in the real commentary box tonight, I'll probably be wearing my hat and scarf, given the fact it's only 12 degrees. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge for the drivers because that temperature is probably going to dip as the sessions go on, especially with the feature race being at 11 PM. I wouldn't be surprised to see that around about 9-10 degrees. So drivers got to be careful with their tyre pressures and making sure they account for that. And in terms of the forecast, we were treated to a Umbrella Fest rain-soaked Hungaroring last week, but I can confirm the forecast tonight is an extremely low chance of rain. We've got a lot of cloud, but the rain will be staying away, which I'm sure some drivers will be happy about. So, little treat for you tonight. Post-race, we've got a driver interview lined up. I believe we're going to try and get Mr. Brooker on for a post-race interview. That is subject to him not putting it in the wall. So if he has a good race, I'm sure he'll join us for a quick post-race chat, and we can see how he gets on. I'll be looking to bring a couple more post-race interviews for you throughout the season, random drivers. So Brooker will be the first one of the year to jump on live comms hopefully and give us a little bit of an insight to how the race was. As we see Mr. Friedman go P1 with a 2:01.3. That is a quick time. I wasn't expecting anyone to be in the well, that low down. Well, I was expecting a low 2:01. We'll see if it manages to break a 2-minute flat in qualifying. And the track has now changed to optimum, so this is where the quickest times will be hitting. So, good to have you with us. If you are watching live, please drop a comment in the box or any chat notes. If you're supporting a certain driver, please do whack it in the chat. I will do my best to respond to anyone. As I said, do drop a like on the video. We've got a good hour and a half of racing up ahead for a Sunday evening. Finish the weekend and kickstart the week off. And then just bring you just another reminder for what's coming up on FRL this week. So Suzuka is the track for all week. We stick to the same tracks throughout the week. So Tuesday is the round 2 of Taco Tuesday's FRL Academy. We've got 3 tiers running on the same week. We've got tier 1 that will be live streamed on YouTube by our very own Tom Cairns. You can also watch back the race from last week on YouTube and find it on our YouTube page. Then we have tier 2 and 3 as we see the 911 of Rui completely lose it on the exit of turn 11, potentially turn 12. So where was I? Yes, so Taco Tuesdays on Tuesday, and then we have the late night Thursday, which will also be around Suzuka. But the forecast could be a little bit different for Tuesday and Thursday, so it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Will Friedman, yo Will, is probably a very happy man, a very happy Frenchman, because he's looking at that time He was P1, however, Canesa has picked him to the first position with a 201 flat. I'll be interested to see if you've got 3/10 in your wheel. So top 4 is currently held by pro level drivers, but then we've got a couple of AM drivers there. We've got Knight and Stereotypy in P5 and P6. It'll be really interesting to see which of the AM drivers get their name up there in the top 5, top 10 when it comes to qualifying. You know, when you look at GT racing, you always think, oh, there's 15 pros on the grid, the top 15 will just be filled full of pro drivers. It's not always the case. There is certainly a lot of quick drivers in the AM class who can throw their name in between the pros. So it will be interesting to see how the field does shake up in qualifying between the two classes. As we have 27 drivers now with us for tonight's race, as we see Palermo leaving the pits in the 17 Porsche. And just in advance, apologies if I'm not on top form tonight. I may have had a few sherbets watching the Arsenal-Manchester United game. So if any Manchester United fans watching, then I'm sorry. I'm an Arsenal fan, and yes, what a great victory for the Arsenal. But now all focus is on the racing. We've gone from football to racing. So guys, just a couple of minutes now to qualifying. I will just quickly leave you for 30 seconds and I'll be back just to bring you in to the start of qualifying. And I'm back. So 30 seconds remaining of free practice and then the flag will drop for qualifying. It's going to be quite an important qualifying session. It's worth noting there is only the one quali session, so it does set the grid for both sprint and feature race. So the drivers have really got to make sure they get their laps in, because if they fluff up qualifying, that is their starting position for both races. And for the sprint, it's only 20 minutes, so it's going to be all about door-to-door racing. With the 40-minute feature race, you can play a little bit more tactical with tyre wear, just a little bit. If you go a little bit too hard at the start, those tyres will be a little bit warm. So, but the sprint, it should just be low fuel, 20 minutes straight racing. Not a lot of time to make up positions on the grid if you do fluff up qualifying. So flag has dropped. We're just waiting for a few drivers to cross the line, and qualifying will get underway. As you see, Vanek turning the final corner in the Audi, currently in P17. And we have Stereotypy behind him in the 333 AMG Mercedes, as these two drivers finish their qualifying. No, finish their practice, beg your pardon. Stereotypy goes with a P2, so he'll be looking for a repeat of that time in a couple of minutes. So here we go. We are green flag for qualifying, and we look like the 911 Mercedes was the first out there. Who was that? I think it was Rui who was first out. No, it wasn't. He was the first out of the box, but because he was where his pit box was, he wasn't the first driver out. First driver out was the number 46, which was Knight in the Audi. As the Audi gets a little bit of oversteer on exit there. Skechers Audi. So quite a long lap. Obviously it's 2 minutes long, so there should be plenty of space for drivers to get room for a flying lap. A Hungaroring can bunch people up, whereas Suzuka, you've got time just to give people gaps. So traffic shouldn't be too much of a problem. I suppose it depends where you catch the driver though on a slow lap. If you catch him around the Degner curves, you could really get put up as that Audi is stepping out again. Knight is certainly testing the limits of the rear end of that Audi. Those wondering who Knight is AMR Vantage on Discord. I believe he's potentially one of the youngest drivers on the grid. I'm not going to say his age on live stream, but I believe he is the youngest driver on the grid. I also believe, a little birdie tells me, he's on controller as well, which is unbelievable. So we'll see how he gets on. We'll stay on board with him, given the fact that he is the first driver out. He clearly wanted to be first out, so he'll be the driver live on stream, live on air. So here he comes. Knight, AMR Vantage, start his flying lap. You've got a couple of cars coming out on the pit lane ahead of him. I think he's got MPL in the Mercedes just coming out, but he's got space. So into turn one, really tricky handed, down to third gear, down for second for the second apex. Don't run too wide, he's okay there. And then for the S's, you really want to keep the car tucked into the apex. It's most likely third gear, but you can change down the second to get the car turned in. Maybe upshift early to third just to get that traction sorted. But it's a real sweeping section of the track. It's just left and right and left and right. And then tricky corner this, got to get the power down early, try and keep that rear end in check and bring it all the way round, and then you're going to have first of the infamous Degner corners, probably down 2 gears, down to third. Don't touch the curb too much on the left, it will really throw you out. Down to second gear for Degner 2, and again, don't run too wide there. Track limits can be a problem there. And then probably one of the most trickiest corners on this track is the hairpin, I find. You have to brake while turning, get the car right slow down, and then it's the traction out. You don't want to be running too much high TC around here because you can really bog the car down with a higher traction control. So all about that exit as we head up to Spoon Corner, and he's got MPL up ahead of him. You're hoping we'll be getting out of his way or not putting him off. So braking early, flicking the car left, don't drag too wide. It can be a tricky corner. It's off camber, and again down to second gear or maybe third gear early on the power, let the car drift out wide. And again, it's all about that exit as you come down the back straight. And he's getting a little bit of slipstream there from MPL. He'll be saying thank you very much, sir, I'll have some of that. So the infamous 130R, flick it left, fastest corner on the track, don't go too wide, and then heavy on the brakes just before the bridge, I'd say, and flick the car right for the first set of the chicane, flick the car left early on the power, and this should be your first timed lap of the night. And let's see what Knight manages to do in the 46 Audi. He's at a 2:02.1, that's a fairly respectable time for your first lap. So let's just try and catch some drivers as they come across. This is going to be a bit of a nightmare given the fact it's quite a big grid, but here he is, Brooker. Brooker coming across the line in the 166 Audi. Brooker goes third. And the times are going to really start tumbling in now. As we're on board with Wolfgang in the Porsche. As Morex goes with a 201.2. Wolfgang on board, great cameraman, on board with the provisional pole sitter of a 201.2. It's a really quick times there, considering that is the first time lapse for some of these drivers. I mean, to instantly hit at 201.2 and then 3 and 4 respectively for Morex and Rui is a cracking first lap. Normally, your first flying lap does tend to be a bit of a placeholder as you get the times coming in, but not for these guys. They're straight on it as we are on board with Yuka Sito now coming across the finish line. Where can he place that Audi? He goes 9th. Who else do we have coming by? We have Rogers. And the number 12, McLaren. Rogers doesn't actually set a time then, so let's jump on board to Van Eck. Not yet set a time, so hopefully he's going to get one in here. He's got, I think, is that Mark Conway behind him? It is. He's getting out of the way from Mark Conway. Conway running a different livery tonight. He was in a very, if you remember those sweets called Nerds, he was running like a lime green and lime red colour scheme last week. It reminded me of those sweets called Nerds. He's changed it to an all black livery tonight. Hopefully I haven't given him a complex. Talking about his livery like that last week, so that's not the reason for him changing it. Hopefully not. Rapid Duck. The Rapid Duck was your pole sitter from last week at the Hungaroring. I believe he won the sprint race as well. He currently finds himself in P9. He'll be looking to improve on that. Let's just stick on board with him as he goes through the S's. As Morex goes with a 2-minute flat 0.9. So we are under the 1-minute 201 barrier. We've got quite a few Mercedes so far dominating the top 10. We've got 4 of them out of the first top 10. And Rapid Duck is currently the highest beamer on the grid. Got quite a nice spread variant of manufacturers tonight. And so, as I said that, I was just saying about the beamer, and look at that, Canesa has gone provisional pole with a 2-minute flat 0.7 in the beamer. So we'll just stick on board with Rapid Duck for the rest of the lap, given the fact that he was our pole sitter last week, as he goes a little bit wide there on the exit of Spoon. Still got quite a few drivers not yet set a time, so they've got to get a bit of a hurry on. 6 minutes remaining. As we see Rapid Duck in the green BMW come across the line. Where can he improve his time? He does. He goes provisional P5. Let's just jump on board with Shadow Lancer. Oh, actually no, Mark Conway is ahead of him. Mark Conway is one of 4 pros not yet set a time, the others being Shadow Lancer, Knott and Gedman. So let's just see where Mark can place this. And he is halfway into this qualifying session and not yet got a time on board, so he must have had track limits or a bit of traffic on the first flying lap. So come on Mark, what have you got in store for us mate with this time? And he's flashing his lights. Well, he doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't set a time. So he is under pressure. He's got 5 minutes remaining. And this is going to be a flying lap. Let's just jump on board with Gedman. And he's coming across the start-finish line. Can he get a time on the board? He does. It's only good enough for 20th place. It's 4 seconds off the lead. So hopefully that's just a provisional time for him. And we have Stones Racing, who is one of our reserve drivers tonight, and I believe the only Lamborghini on the grid. It is. And he's got a car right behind him. I can't quite work out who that is. Just flicking up to the top of the grid. So here's your provisional pole sitting, a 99 Mercedes, pink and blue Mercedes. Morex is a very fast time. Canesa in P2 and Wufka P3. Look at Stereotypy there, AM level driver, putting it P4. He certainly won't be an AM driver for long with that pace. So can Morex improve on his current time of 2 minutes 0.5? We're about to find out. He doesn't. Can Mark get a time on the board? He can, so he goes up to 14th, 2.3 seconds off P1. Still got Anderson in pits. Anderson, who is, I believe, he's currently in P2 in the AM Championship. He had a very good result last week at the Hungaroring. He's still in the pits, he's got 3 minutes remaining. He's not yet set a time, so that's interesting. Hopefully he can get out with some time on the board. So let's just try and pick up some drivers coming across the start-finish line. Here is Moggs in the Ferrari. Can he improve from P9? He does not. Can Naisbit? He does. Naisbit jumps up to P6. That's a good time from Naisbit. Who else we got? We've got the car number 8. That's Will Friedman. Was third in practice. I probably wasn't expecting him to be P8, but he's got a couple of laps. He's probably got one more lap remaining, given the time left. As we see Chavez dive into the pits for a bit of a splash day. He's going to be cutting it fine. If he wants to get out for a flying lap, he's not going to have time, is he? That's Chavez done for qualifying. On board Liam Knott in the 16 Porsche. Currently P12. He jumps up to P9. So the top of the leaderboard is starting to close up. Canesa has gone a 10th off Morex. Let's just see where he is. So here is Canesa. We're on board with him now in the 55 BMW. He's going to have time for another lap. BMW looked a little bit sluggish over that first set of curves. Has he got that extra 10th in his pocket? We're about to find out. He hasn't, but he's got one more lap. Here comes Moritz. Can he improve and consolidate his provisional P1? He doesn't improve, but he's likewise got another lap with him. Wufka's in the pits. That's his qualifying done. Stereotypy is coming around Spoon now. Let's just see what he's got. This is going to be his only chance. He's not going to have time for another lap. So the 333 AM driver in the AMG Mercedes. As Will Friedman is also about to cross the line. Is he going to have time for another lap? I think he is. Will Friedman is going to get sneaking in there for another lap. As we see Friedman jump to 5th. So, Stereotypy, what's he got? It doesn't improve, but he does have time for another lap, so that he is going to be your last driver across the start-finish line. Woofka's in the pits, Kanasa's in the pitch, Morex is your provisional pole sitter. I think the only challenger to him is Stereotypy, with Friedman's out there as well, and Rui. So Rui is out there as well. He's going to be the first one across the line out of the top drivers. Actually, no, beg your pardon, Frank is about to come across. Then we have Rapid Duck following him, and Shadow Lancer following him. So Frank comes across, doesn't improve. Can Rapid Duck improve? He doesn't. We then have Shadow Lancer down in 20th. He'd be looking for a better finish than that from a pro-level driver. Can Shadow Lancer jump up the leaderboard? He doesn't. We then have Chris Gedman coming across in number 79, I believe. He doesn't improve. He is 22nd. So where is Rui? Rui's off at 130R. So that is, I think, Morex has got this in the bag. Friedman's boxed. We've got who is that behind Rui coming across the final chicane? So Rui improves on his time to cement provisional pole. Sorry, Morex, beg your pardon. Morex cements provisional pole position. I think that is pole. There is one more driver coming across the line. I don't think it's going to be a one to challenge pole position. Famous last words from the commentator. It was McCutcheon. Danny McCutcheon jumped up to 15th. So that is your pole sitter, Morex, in the AMG Mercedes number 99 with a 2-minute 0.155. 4 tenths, only 5 tenths difference to Kanesa in second and Wolfgren. So that is a quality time from Morex. So let's just get you a consolidated list. So Morex in pole. So let's have another driver jump up the leaderboard then. Now, who was that? That was Knight. Knight flies up to 6. I missed that on the live stream. Right. Let's get you a list. So, Morex is in pole position, Kanesa in second, Wufska third, Frank fourth. Then we have 2 AM drivers with Stereotypy in 5th and Knight in 6th. Friedman 7th, Rui 8th, and then we have our 3rd AM driver in the top 10, which is Naisbit, which is P9. Rapid Duck 10th was the sprint winner and pole sitter from last week at the Hungaroring. Liam Knott in 11th. Moggs 12th, Mark Conway in 30th. He might be a bit disappointed with that. I think he had a bit more time in him, and a 1 minute 01.9. And then we have a group of AM drivers. So we have Chavez 14th, McCutcheon 15th, Hugo Cito 16th, Brooker 17th, Matthews 18th, Rogers 19th, Van Eck in 20th. And then we have 2 pro drivers who would be disappointed to be that far down the field, which is Shadow Lancer 21st and Chris Gedman in 22nd. And then rounding off the last drivers, we have MPL in 23rd, Jack Slater 24th, Stone Racing, who was the reserve driver tonight, in 25th. And then we have 2 drivers who did not set a time, which is Anderson and Palermo. So Anderson, who finished, I think, 3rd and 2nd in the AM class last week, who finds himself 2nd in the championship behind Stereotypy. He's got a long sprint and feature race ahead of him, all the way down in 26th. So guys, that is your grid order. Quality time from Morex. But check that, Sector 1, purple time, Knight. AM level driver, it was your purple time in Sector 1. He had 2 tenths on Morex. Just couldn't keep the rest of the lap hooked up. But he won't be disappointed with that. I think that's a very good qualifying result for both Stereotypy and Knight, and Naisbit as well. 3 AM drivers in the top 10, representing their classes. As I take a swig of my vodka coke. So, we have about 1.5 minutes before the sprint race, guys, as the lobby just does its thing and resets the server. Resets the grid, etc. And then we'll have the formation lap, which is a full lap guided formation lap, and then it will be green flag for the 22-minute sprint. Worth noting, just remember it is a sprint series, so there are no pit stops required tonight. It's a 20-minute pure door-to-door, flag-to-flag fighting, and we have a 40-minute feature race. Likewise, is no pit stops. It's just both sprint races. So that's your grid, guys. I will just leave you for a 30 seconds just to grab some refreshments before we start the formation lap for the sprint race. I'll catch you in 30. So, just bringing a little bit of news from the pit lane. I believe Palermo, who found himself all the way down in 27th, pro-level driver, he has had, let's just describe as a technical issue with his car. Brake failure, we'll call it that. His pedals have failed on him. So that is Palermo out of tonight's race. Unfortunate to hear and see that, Palermo. As Axel Racing, Mark Conway drops into the comments box, turn the lights on please. I don't think you'll have no trouble seeing the track. You're in 13th, Mark, so you'll have red brake lights ahead of you and headlights behind you. But you are right in the mixer there, Mark, so good luck in 13th. All the best on the first few laps. Keep it clean, pal. And just looking at the manufacturers in the top 10, it certainly looks like the Mercedes is favoured around here. It is not a free choice, so these drivers do have to pick their cars and stick with it for the season. So they haven't just picked the Mercedes just for tonight. But it certainly looks a strong car around here. Good evening, AMR Vantage. Good luck in the race, pal.
30 seconds. 20 seconds.
Cracking result for you, Vantage. For those watching, Vantage is P6. C.Knight is AMR Vantage.
10 seconds.
Cracking result, really, P6, especially if you're on controller. So, here we go. Formation lap is underway as... I was getting a bit worried there. No one was moving. Morex pulls away to lead the field around for the formation lap as all the drivers get away. I don't think no one managed to not get out and start their engines in time. We've got no drivers sat on the grid waving their hands out the window anyway with yellow flags waving. So it looks like all the drivers have got away nicely, which is what we like to see. So the important formation lap, a couple of drivers have a few techniques to warm the tyres up in here. I think it's either the old classic weaving or it's the dragging the brakes. I think getting on the brake pedal and then smashing the loud pedal is the most effective way to get some get some heat into those tyres. As we see, Morex just doing exactly that, just slamming the loud pedal back onto the brakes, trying to get some warmth in it. It's cold, it's dropped down to 10 degrees. So those tyres are going to be a wee bit nippy. That wasn't an impression of a Scotsman accent, by the way. So, I think we're going to have quite an exciting lap one. Suzuka, at the start of the race, can throw up some interesting situations. Hopefully everyone does get away nicely and there is no contact, but it is a very hard track to avoid contact, I would say, on the first lap. You've got a very, the first couple of corners, quite a varied braking zone. You can really go late on the brakes, and if you've got the downforce, whip the car in, but on the opening lap, you probably haven't got the pressure and the heat in the tyres, so you probably want to be a little bit conservative. But it's the fact that you've got quite a wide, couple of different lines going into that first right-hander. It can lead itself to leaving the door open and drivers thinking, oh, I can sneak it up on the inside here, and that's where the accidents happen. And then you pretty much are single file through the S's. I mean, it is wide enough to go too wide, but you can really hang drivers out for dry if you are side by side through the S's. And then it pretty much is single file through the Degma curves. The hairpin, I suspect we'll be seeing a couple of late breakers up the inside at the hairpin as well. So I think we're going to have an exciting 20 minutes. I think it's going to be a nightmare for me to try and keep up with 28 drivers on the grid on the opening lap, but I'll do my best. As they will soon be heading into the Noah's Ark 2x2 formation. Beautiful shot there of all the cars coming down the back straight up to 130R, the headlights on. So this is round 2 of your Formula Racing League PureSimGear Super Sprint Sunday at Suzuka coming up. This is a sprint race, guys. Buckle up, strap yourselves in. We've got 20 minutes of quality GT3 racing coming up for you, as we're about to see the flag drop, and Moritz, Kanesa, Wolfsgut, Frank, Stereotypy, Knight are all going to be leading the field into the first corner. Who is going to keep their nerve and keep it clean? As the drivers are just lining up properly, getting their cars in positions, keeping beneath that speed limit. We do not want to see any drive-throughs. So here we go. The flag is about to drop. And we are green, we're off. So Moritz leaves them away. We've got Kanesa to the outside. And we've got a drive-through for Friedman. He's obviously speeding on the pit lane, speeding on the start. As we see Wolfke go down the inside of Kanesa, Moritz have managed to lead them away. So Moritz takes the lead of the first lap. It looks like all the drivers have managed to get away cleanly. I can't see any yellow flags out, so I think we've got quite a clean start. We have got Chris Gedman off at the first corner, so Chris Gedman does lose out on the first corner, but we've got a spinner there as well. I think that was Rapid Duck. Was that Rapid Duck? Oh, we've got more contact. We've got 4 cars off. I don't know who that was. I will pick the pieces up and try and debrief that in a second. It looks like car 107, car 12, which is Rogers. So we'll find out who those drivers were in a moment. Let's just stick on board with the leaders, as the UI has a minor heart attack. So the key thing is, Moritz has maintained P1. So he leads from Kanesa. We've got Wolfke 3rd, we've got Frank 4th, we've got Knight 5th, we've got Stereotypy 6th, Friedman 7th. We've got that in drive-through. That's going to be a killer for him. Rui in 8th, Liam not 9th, Mark Conway's up from 13th to 10. Go on, Mark. We've got Moggs in 11th, Brooker 12th, Naisbit 13th, Chavez 14th, Matthews 15th, Rapid Duck 16th, Anderson 17th, Shalalam 18th. So who are the drivers who lost out? So we've got Yuga Sito back in the grid, we've got Gedman, we've got Rogers, we've got McCutcheon, and we've got, it wasn't Jack Slater, so I think it was McCutcheon, Rogers, Gedman and Yuga Sito were all your drivers who were involved in that first lap incident. It looked like coming up through the S's, one of them, there was an accident between 2 drivers and it collected the other 2. We'll try and find out what happened after the race. As we see, Stereotypy, he's got cars in the back of him. We've got Wolfke and Knight going side by side in the chicane. So Wolfke's got ahead of Knight. As we've got a spinner as well, and we've got a car in got a car in the pit lane. That's Friedman serving his drive-through. Getting all excited there, thinking that was a car boxing for repair, but it wasn't. It was Friedman boxing for his drive-through. That really is going to give him a long 18 minutes ahead in the sprint. I don't think he's going to struggle to come back from last place with that, I'd imagine. So we've got a spinner as well. We've got yellow flags out at the first sector, which is Chavez. Chavez has gone round. He's rejoined safely. That's unfortunate for Chavez, who was in 13th. He's now going to drop back to 26th. As we're on board with Moggs, who's all over the back of Naisbitt, coming through Degnan 1. He's took a lot of curb there, though, the Ferrari. Has the Ferrari kept on track? I don't think he has. Oh, he has. He is just about... I think he went off there, Moggs. He managed to keep the Ferrari. As we've got Anderson and Lancer battling away as well, coming up to the hairpin. Is one of them going to send it up the inside? As we've got a car off as well at Degner 2. So it's all pretty much single file at the moment. As we're on board with Moritz, your race leader, Knason second, Frank third, Sterity be fourth. We've got Wolfger and Knight still battling away. As that Audi gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit. He's got to be careful, Knight. He can't battle away too much with Wolfger because he's got Rui, who is a very quick driver, right behind him in the Mercedes. As we have Mark Conway making a move on Liam Knott in the background. Through 130 on they go. Is Liam going to fight back? He isn't. So Mark is up to 8th. That is a good start from 13th on the grid, I believe. Importantly though, your top two are pulling away quickly. And I'll just jump on board with Wolfger and Knight and Rui, because these drivers, I sense, are going to be at it for the next 15 minutes. As they go through turn 1. Not Brooker and Naisbitt all closely following. As Anderson goes a little bit wide there on the first corner, misses braking zone, I'd imagine. MPL 16th, Matthews 17th, Van Eck 18th, Jack Slater 19th, Hugo Sita 20th, Rogers and Gedman. Gedman, who's got, I believe, is that a back marker? I don't think that is for position. Oh, yes, it is, beg your pardon. So that is Gedman and Rogers fighting away. Chavez, who we saw spinning on the first corner. And Will Freeman 24th. Stones coming in is your reserve driver tonight, boxing for repairs, I'd imagine. And McCutcheon is unfortunately all the way down in last place, and he's about to be lapped as well, as Moritz is coming up behind him. So, a little bit of a mad first lap, or 2 laps. And I'll just try and bring you the best action throughout the grid. It's always hard to leave the top 2, or the top 3, but there is action throughout the grid, so I'll do my best to bring it you all. As we have, where are we? Let's just go on board with Rui, because he was waiting to pounce on a scrap between Knight and Wolfger. Gaps are just starting to settle down a little bit as the drivers complete their first few laps. Tyre pressure's getting up to speed now, brake temps will be in their window. As let's just go on board with Shadowlancer. I believe Shadowlancer has got a train behind him. He has. He's got MPL behind him. He's got Matthews, who's going to be extremely close in the braking zone here. Is he going to make the move of the inside on MPL? He isn't. MPL goes a little bit deep on the brakes, so that could open the door for Matthews on the straight if he gets a better exit here. This is for P16. So he isn't. Is he going to go to the inside? He isn't. He's just going to follow MPL through the first corner. So drivers are now starting to settle down with their gaps. Now this is the fight we want to see. Gedman versus Friedman, the two FRL admins up against it. All over for 23rd place. Kedman's not that close though, as we see a 30-second stop go penalty for Stones racing the reserve driver tonight. That will be speeding in the exit of the pit lane. So where is our fight? I think Wufka's showing a 6/10 behind Stereotypy. Stereotypy is your AM class leader at the moment, with Knight in second place and Jay Brooker in 10th place. And Jay will be hopefully joining us on the live stream after the race to bring us a post-race interview. He's currently finding himself third in class. As we see Liam Knott all over the back of Mark Conway, as he's going to go to the inside. He isn't. Conway sporting that changed livery for tonight. I think he's trying to remain camouflaged, considering it's a night race. He's gone for an all black livery, so he's trying to blend into the track, I'd imagine. As we have, who is that coming down the back straight? That is Jack Slater, Hugo Cito, Rogers and Chavez, all closely following all the way down in 18th as they come up to the final couple of corners of the track. As we've got a car spinning a little bit there, that was Chavez again. That's the second time we've seen the 729 McLaren pointing the wrong way on the tarmac. He's not having a good sprint race so far, as we have another car go wide on the first final corner again. So Liam Knott is putting Mark Conway under a bit of pressure here. This is the battle for 8th place as we're about to approach the halfway mark in this sprint race. Top two really are pulling away now. Morex is a good 7 seconds clear of the rest of the field. He's got Canesa behind him in P2, which is just under 2 seconds behind, but then we've got a gap of 5.2 seconds to Frank. Frank is the reserve driver tonight as well, and he's coming under pressure from the AM class leader Stereotypy. So I think Liam Knott has just dropped back a little bit from Conway. Let's just go down the grid a little bit and just see what's happening. We've got Van Eck is extremely close to MPL. These two are fighting over 16th. They've got quite a gap though to the next driver, which is the number 5 BMW, which is Jack Slater. And then behind him we have Hugo Cito and Rogers is having a little bit of a peep up the inside of Hugo Cito, but he is not close enough to make that move. So Naisbitt, I think, just getting to the back marker. That's not for position, I don't believe. Gap out in front has just extended a little bit. 2.1 seconds now for Moritz. He really is controlling this race beautifully. That is Stones racing in the Lamborghini, getting out of the way of Van Eck and MPL, coming up to the hairpin. Van Eck looks like he's got a better drive out of that corner compared to MPL, and this is going to go all the way into Spoon Curve. As MPL gets a little bit squirrely on the exit of Spoon, that's going to open the door to Van Eck. Van Eck having to kind of get out the throttle a little bit just to avoid going into the back of the Mercedes. So that is going to probably throw compromise his overtaking opportunity down the back straight into 130R. And he's not close enough to make a move. Now, on board with Stereotypy. Now he is all over the back of Frank in third. So this is your battle for the podium. And this is your AM class leader, Stereotypy, up against McLaren versus Mercedes. The gap in front now extends to 2.6. And I think this is Morex's race to lose. Saying that, it's just come down 1.9, so he's lost 7 seconds, 7 tenths in the first sector. Whether he had a little bit of a mistake, maybe. So Stereotypy is very close to Frank now. Is he going to have a move at the inside on the hairpin? He doesn't. He keeps it nice behind him. Again, it's going to be all about this traction out of this corner. Who's got the better exit? Both drivers get away nicely. No one really seems to bog down there. We'll keep on board with this for the moment. This looks like the closest battle on track so far. I've got a spinner at the hairpin. Is that Jay Brooker? It is. It's Jay Brooker who has made a mistake at the hairpin or had contact. I'm not sure which. He's going to lose a couple of places now. He's gone wide as well. He's hit the barrier. He's hit the barrier. I think he's hit the barrier. Oh, dearie me. And it's not good for Brooker. They're back on board with BRG Stereotypy. He's piling the pressure on Frank. It is a hard track to overtake, really, Suzuka. I think a lot of people do underestimate how hard it is to overtake at Suzuka. And there is, opportunities after the 130Rs. You can close enough, follow a car closer through there. You can probably send it at the inside of the hair at the chicane. You've got the hairpin, obviously. You've got turn one if you can get a good exit down the straight. But it is quite a hard track. As we see Stereotypy lose it, he keeps the Mercedes out of the wall, keeps it on track. But that is, I think, Frank S is now going to get a nice breathing space out in third place. He'll be breathing a big sigh of relief in the inside of that McLaren. Stereotypy just trying to force it a little bit too much, I think, following Frank through the first corner. Just jumping on board with Wolfgang and Rui. These two and Knight battling over 5th, 6th and 7th respectively. As you see Knight go a little bit wide on the first through Declan, but he manages to keep it okay. Obviously Mark Conway in the background there, just the BMW rear end just stepping out ever so slightly on the exit of Degma 2. So, is Wolfgang, is he going to make a move on Knight? I don't think he's not going to do it into the spoon curve. It's a ridiculously hard place just to overtake, but if you can follow the car, as we see Wolfgang go a little bit wide, that's going to open the door up for Rui. I suspect Rui's going down the inside. Is Rui going to get the better exit? I think he will do. So this is going to go right into spoon, right into the chicane, into 130R. So Rui's gone to the inside. I think Rui's actually ahead now. So this is going to go side by side into 130R. Rui's actually got ahead before 130R. As both touched the grass a little bit. You do not want to be dipping your wheels onto that grass there. So the mistake at spoon curve from Wolfgang opened the door for Rui, and we see the 911 AMG Mercedes move up to P6. Right, where do we have the onboard action? We are on board with Moggs, who are only 2 tenths behind Shadow Lancer. The battle for 13th, heading into the chicane at the end of the lap. Not close enough to make a move in the inside, but again, if you can get a good exit, turn one is an overtaking opportunity. But I think Shadow Lancer has got a good exit out of there. He's going to be in the slipstream now, though, that Ferrari. Just pointing out, Will Friedman is now up to P18. This is a driver who had to drive through at the start of the race. It's quite a recovery drive up to 18th from pretty much back of the grid. On board with him here, but he's got The next car ahead of him, which is Van Eck, is nearly 9 seconds up the road, so that I think will be Will's race done in 18th, pending a mistake. And here we are, your race leader. 2.5 minutes remaining of the sprint race, and Morex controls the race with a 2.8 second lead to Canay. So let's just give you a bit of just go down the field as we head into the final couple of minutes. So Canay's P2, as I said, 2.8 seconds to Morex. Frank is in third. He was under a lot of pressure from Stereotypy, but Stereotypy made that mistake on the exit of turn 1. He managed to keep it out of the barrier, and he's now got 2.7 second gap to Frank, but then likewise he's got a 4.5 second gap to Knight. So Knight is in P5, Rui is in P6, Wuftka, oh, there's been a position change, that has changed in the last second or two, so Wuftka has actually moved up to P6 and Rui's 7th. But Mark Conway in 8th, he will be hoping Rui and Wuftka have a little bit of a handbags moment, because he'll be looking to take advantage of any mistake those two drivers make. He's got a nice gap to P9, which is Rapid Duck. We then have Naisbit, who is piling on the pressure, Rapid Duck. So Naisbit is in P10. Anderson in P11, who is likewise applying the pressure to Naisbit. Liam Knott 12th. Trello Lancer 13th, who's under pressure from Moggs in P14. These two are going to be fighting it out at the end of this race. Oh, as Moggs loses it on the exit, goes over the Ferrari, bounces over the curb, and is he going to avoid? He's going to have to reverse. He's not going to get that car spun around. That is unfortunate. Moggs, who was P14, he's lost what, 3 places, 4 places. He's down to P18. I think Will Freeby's even got ahead of him yet, so that is Moggs down to P18, I believe. So where was I? Brooker 14th, MPL 15th. Van Eck 16th, Friedman 17th, Moggs 18th, who we've just seen spin, Gedman 19th, Jack Slater 20th, as he's got a gaggle of cars right behind him. We've got Jack Slater, Roger going up the inside of turn 1. He doesn't make them at the inside. Then we've got Matthews behind these guys, and then we've got Chavez, who we've seen spun around a couple of times this race. So this looks like a battle that's going to be going on for the last 25 seconds. I do not want to miss the race leader though. So where is he? He's coming up to 130R. I don't think he's gonna. I think this is gonna be the last lap. So this is the final 5 seconds, final couple of corners of the sprint race, and Morex, who was your pole sitter and has led every lap of this sprint race, is going to bring it home for a sprint race victory in the 99 AMG Mercedes. Fantastic result for Morex. Canate is going to bring it home in P2. And Frank, who was under pressure from Stereotypy, but has managed to hold him off and bring it home for a podium. So that is your top 3 pro drivers. Stereotypy comes home in 4th for the AM class win. We've got Knight, who's going to be under a lot of pressure coming across the start-finish line. There's 4 drivers all in the slipstream. There's all a bit of a photo finish there, I think. So we've got Knight in 5th, Wufka 6th, Rui 7th, Conway comes home in 8th. Wow, that was a close finish. Rapid Duck comes home in 9th, Anderson 10th, Naisbit 11th, Knott 12th. We've got a lot of drivers coming home with almost photo finishes. It was that close across the line. Shadow Lancer is going to come home in 13th. And then we've got Brooker, we've got MPL, we've got Van Eck's gone off. I think Van Eck has lost places to Friedman here. Van Eck has gone deep on the chicane, and Friedman's going to get the run up on MPL, I think. He's going to cross the line, he's not going to beat MPL. So MPL comes home in 15th, Friedman comes home in 16th after serving a drive-through. It's a cracking result for Friedman. Moggs comes home in 17th as he almost crashes into the cameraman and kills him. 20th for Rogers, Matthews comes in 20th, Rogers 21st, Chavez 22nd, Jack Slater 23rd, Hugo Cito 24th, McCutcheon 25th, and Stones Racing, the reserve driver, comes home in the Soul Lambo. So that is your sprint race, guys. That is quite a finish there with numerous drivers coming across side by side. I was just taking some screenshots of the race results there for the sprint race. So, right, we've got a couple of minutes, guys, before the 40-minute feature. So, time now to grab yourselves a quick refreshment, quick bite to eat, chocolate bar, whatever your go-to snack is, and let's buckle in for the feature race of 40 minutes of GT3 racing coming up around Suzuka. I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes.
Seconds. 20 seconds.
Okay, so welcome back, and here we go for the formation lap for the feature race. Just a bit of driver news from the pit lane. Palermo, his mechanics have managed to fix his car and he's back on the grid, but he will start from the back, which is 27th. So Palermo, who missed race 1 due to a technical issue, is now back in. As we see Stereotypy in 5th place, he's in the pits. I think he may have forgotten to click driving time. That is unfortunate. He is your AM class winner from the last race. He's now going to be starting from the pit lane. That is a dagger in the heart for the 333 Mercedes. But focus is on the drivers up front. Morex, who superbly controlled that sprint race from pole to flag. He led every lap and he managed to keep Canesa in check. Can he do it for the 40 minutes for the feature race? As we have now progressed to 11 o'clock local time, track temperature and air temp is still 10 degrees. That could dip a little bit halfway through the race, so drivers will have to account for that. Maybe they've put an extra bit of PSI on the tyres just to account for a potential temperature drop. So we're coming up to the final couple of turns on this formation lap as race 2, the feature race of tonight, is shortly about to get underway, as we see the drivers just weaving in the background trying to get those heat into those tyres. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Just bear with me, guys, slight cameraman malfunction there. So when the flag drops, I will bring you first place. Just having a slight technical issue with the cameraman. Console does have its bugs. So we're about to get underway as the cars come round the final corner to start race 2 of tonight in the Formula Racing League Super Sprint Series, sponsored by PureSimGear. As we've got a car, we're in the middle of the track. It's not quite in position, I would imagine.
Green light.
So Morex leads him away. He's unusual starting position off the grid. He's got to have Canesa to the outside. He's going to have Woofkid potentially down the inside of him, but he covers the inside nicely, Morex. So the drivers do get away into turn 1. I think Morex leads him away. We're just checking the rest of the grid to see if there's any contact. I think so far it's so good from everyone in front. Morex does lead him away nicely though. We're going to drive through from MPL. We've got a couple of cars spinning off there. We've got the Mercedes, we've got the Audi 166 and 3 Booker potentially making contact. But so far so good for the majority of the field as they lead through the S's, just going down the field and just seeing if there is any accident. We've got no yellow flags, so it is a cleaner start, but we have got a car at the back of the grid, which is the 333 Stereotypy. He started from the pit lane, so just bear with me while the tracker does its thing. Guys, we've got cars all over the place at Degner 2. There's a lot of cars at Degner 2. Hairpin's going to be a nightmare for some of these drivers. They're going to have 3 wide by the looks of it. Just try and see where we've got Mark Conway and we've got Moggs fighting there as well. We've got cars going wide at the hairpin, cars on the inside. So Morex leads him away. Wufka second. Kinesis dropped from second to third. He's under pressure from Frank in fourth. Knight is your AM class leader in P5. He's gained from Stereotypy, who started from the pit lane. We've got Rui in sixth. We've got Rapid Duck in seventh. We've got Mark, who's up from P12. He's got another cracking start, opening up for the races tonight. We've got Liam Knott. Shoga's ninth, but he's not in ninth. He's clearly made a mistake somewhere because he's gone right down. We've got Moggs, we've got Brooker, we've got Naisbitt, we've got Yugosita, we've got Chavez, we've got Gedman in 14th. Gedman's had a great start of the race. Matthews in 15th, we've got Roger 16th, Anderson 17th, Van Eck in 18th, Jack Slater 19th, and we've got Palermo almost going for a McDonald's drive-through. That's not where the track is. Palermo 20th, Stones racing, the reserve driver tonight in 21st. He's going to have a good run. Oh, he's not going to have a good run. There's contact, we've got drivers up, we've got drivers off. Oh, there's a big collision. Oh, dearie me. We've got several cars off there. Try and pick the bones out of that, Lewis. We've got Matthews in the wall. We've got Stones racing. We've got Stereotypy. We've got MPL coming into the pits. We've got Liam Knott. That was a huge accident. We're not sure what happened there or who caused that. But we'll just crack on with the rest of the race for the moment. It's a long race, 35 minutes. The drivers need to just be a little bit patient. So we've got Wolfgang is under a lot of pressure. We've got quite a lot of cars. So Morex, while these guys are battling away, Morex is leading the charge to build that gap. And so the yellow flag's out again at the back. Matthews is also off track again. So there's MPL. I think he was the one who boxed for repairs. He managed to avoid all that carnage, I believe. Stones Racing got caught up with it. I think he touched the gravel. He's going to be retiring. He's pulling off and retiring from the race, I think. That way he's got too much severe damage. Matthews is in the pit lane. So that was huge accident. It looked like one driver lost it on the exit of the corner. Stone Racing then dipped the tyres on the grass. He lost it and then collected another car coming through. But anyway, let's focus on what we've got. So we've got Wufka, who's under a lot of pressure from Kanesa, who's likewise under pressure from Frank. So we'll just stick on board with these three for the moment. As you see, Kanesa pulled to the inside, had a little look. It doesn't make the move stick. But then we've got Frank all over the back of Kanesa as well. Obviously Rogers is boxing for repairs and Stereotypy's retired, so we've got a couple of early retirees. It's not been a good evening or good feature race for Stereotypy. He was your AM class leader from the race, from the sprint race. That now currently goes to Knight, who currently holds P6 but is your class leader for AM. You then have Jay Brooker in second in AM class, and then you have Yugo Sito, who's under a lot of pressure from Naisbitt though. So that is the top three for the AM class. The top three for the pro is what you see at the top of the grid, which is more at Wufka and Kanesa. But we've got quite a train forming behind Wufka. He's got a lot of drivers behind him. They'll be looking at any sign of a mistake. Mark Conway's up to P8. He's gone up from 12th. I think he finished 8th last race. He's looking good. And just a bit more news from the pit lane as well. We've lost a driver. We've lost Moggs in the Ferrari, he's had a issue with the PlayStation, so unfortunately he's been disconnected and retired from this race. So the battle for second, third, fourth and fifth rages on as we come across for lap 3 or lap 4. We've got Woofka is still in front, but he's under a hell of a lot of pressure from Ganesa. All this going on, and Morex is just extending that lead. He's now out to 5.3 seconds. I think the biggest lead he had in the sprint was only 2.8, 2.9, so he's effectively doubled that lead from what he had in the sprint. He's got half an hour to go there in this feature race. And I think that the real battle is going to be for the podium positions, because if Woofka can hold off these guys for 33 minutes, I'll be extremely impressed. Let's just bring you some action from down the rest of the field. We've got Naisbit and Yugo Sito, Naisbit's been stuck behind Yugo Sito for a couple of laps. He's still on the back of that 107 Audi. And coming up to the Degnas, this is where drivers can make mistakes, and you can pick up positions just from drivers making mistakes. Great shot of the cars flying through Degna 1 there. Coming into Degna 2, and Yugo Sito's got a little bit too much curve on that entry to Degna 2. That could open the door for Naisbit on the hairpin. Don't think he's close enough to make a move. As we see, Chavez braking quite late there in the McLaren. I think Naisbit's actually gone a little bit deep into the hairpin, and that's actually now brought Chavez into play. So Chavez, the 729 McLaren, is now going to be all over the back of Naisbit coming into the spoon corner. Just back onto the top as we just see Ganesa is still very close to Woofka. Is he close enough to make a move? He isn't. Could he be closer down the start finish straight? And we've got a car going wide in the back in the background now, the chicane. As Ganesa pulls, have a little look to the inside, try and put off Woofka in the braking zone. Woofka's not having any of that though. He's comfortably got that Porsche in the nice line into turn 1. So that is the battle for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. We've got Rapid Duck, he's about a second and a half away from ninth. We've got Mark Conway, he's going to slowly be coming under pressure from Booker. And behind him we've got Yugo Sito and Naisbit still battling away. And Naisbit's going to be extremely close through the S's. Naisbit is certainly putting the pressure on Yugo Sito. Oh, he's had to get out of the throttle. I think have they touched? Have they touched? He has. They touched. Oh, they've made contact third time. He's not going. Hopefully they don't collect another driver coming through. So I think that was Chavez who's gone flying through. Gedvin's going to take advantage. Gedvin's gone, thank you very much, sirs. I will take some of that. I will take 2 places off you. As we see Gedvin and Anderson, not Anderson, it's Naisbit and Anderson. Naisbit and Gedvin, sorry. So what, blimey, let's just try and work out what happened there. I think Yugo Sito must have had a kick of oversteer coming up the hill. Naisbit almost had to get out the throttle to avoid going into the back of him. He actually touched him, I think, once, and then there was a secondary contact which spun Yugo Sito, and then Gedman and Chavez just come flying through. But Gedman's now wedged between the both of them. He's in a Yugo Sito and Naisbit sandwich. Actually, he's not. Beg your pardon. I think he's actually. Yeah, he has. So Gedman's actually took P11 and moved ahead of Yugo Sito. So Yugo Sito and Naisbit are now back together, but they've lost 2 positions respectively. Let's just jump back on board with Woofka, because he's under a lot of pressure from Ganesa. Ganesa's actually took second place on the start finish, so Ganesa leads it into lap 1, moving up to second. Woofka's third. He's lost that position to Ganesa. Frank is now all over the back of Woofka. So he must have lost that position coming out of the chicane, because Ganesa took the position even before the braking zone of turn 1, and Frank is now all over the hot on his heels. Rui and Knight are in the background just patiently waiting and seeing what these drivers are going to be doing. Gap in front has just stabilised a little bit, 5.5 seconds to Canesa. So Canesa's now got to get a bit of a charge as these two drivers are extremely close. I think into number one. You do not want to be sticking your nose at the inside of that corner. They've got blue flags waving as well. There could be a back marker involved somewhere there. As we see Frank just almost going at the inside of that hairpin. So this is a battle for the podium positions. These are your pro drivers, pro class drivers. Canesa's really got to get the foot down now and try and get away from these guys and see if he can try and reel in Morex and put Morex under a little bit of pressure, because he's got half an hour to go in this feature race. There is time for mistakes to be had. Let's just see if Naisbitt, I think Naisbitt. So, right, looks like we've missed an incident with the 107 Audi. So Yuga Sita, who we saw battling away with Naisbitt on the last lap, Yuga Sita's actually dropped back down to 16th. So there's either another contact there or a mistake. But what it means is we've got the 242 Mercedes all over the back of Gedman. And Gedman's touching the grass. His nickname is the grass cutter. He certainly was giving the Verge a bit of a trim there as he dipped his wheels of that Porsche onto the grass, and he's now got a little bit squirrely over the curves of the chicane. Naisbitt is going to be all over the back of him on the straight. That Porsche's not very quick in the straight line, and the Mercedes is quicker. Can he reel him in down the start of the new straight as Gedman moves to the right to try and avoid that slipstream? He's going to have a long 27 minutes ahead of him to try and keep that Mercedes behind him. As we've got a stop go penalty for Jack Slater coming out of the pit lane. So back up to the battle for third, fourth, fifth and sixth. We've got Canesa is now, so we've got roles reversal. We've got Wolfga's putting Canesa under pressure. He's not exactly getting away. I think Canesa's gone deep on the exit of the hairpin. I think he's going to have a bit of better drive, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Wolfga now heading into Spoon Curve. So Canesa's parking that BMW in the middle of the track. He goes to the outside on the brakes to try and get the car in for Spoon. The last thing you want now is a kick of oversteer. So we've seen Knight is starting to catch these pro drivers. These guys battling away are just causing them to be caught by the likes of Knight. As we see Brooker is stuck behind Mark Conway. As we've got yellow flags out at the chicane, we've got a spinner. Who is that? Let's just try and work out who that is. It's Frank. It's a Frank who was up in what, 4th place. He span at the chicane, and that's now dropped him all the way down into P9. Let's just jump on board with our very own Will Friedman at P17. And he's got Yuga Sito ahead of him. Yuga Sito has been in the wars already, as we've seen earlier on in the stream. As Will pulls to the inside, I think he's even going to have the corner. He's going to have the right line going into turn 1. He's got the move done already. So that is Friedman up into 16th place ahead of Yuga Sito. Gaps are just starting to stabilise a little bit at front, but with the pressure that Wolfga was piling onto Canesa, that has meant Moritz has extended his lead out in front to 7.6 seconds. Let's just jump on board with McCutcheon, who's got a little bit of a train of drivers forming behind him. We've got McCutcheon in 14th, Shadow Lancer 15th, Friedman 16th, and Hugo Seco 17th. McCutcheon, who did not have a great sprint race, he's having a better feature race so far. Finds himself in 14th, but soon to be under pressure from Shadow Lancer. Shadow Lancer, who has got Will Friedman now all over the back of him. As we've got yellow flags out in front, again that is Jay Brooker. So Jay was chasing down Mark Conway. Whether those two's touched, I don't know, but Jay has spun out the chicane and he's now going to be having a McLaren in his rearview mirror. As we still see Friedman is all over the back of his fellow Pro Class driver, Shadow Lancer in the 29 BMW. McCutcheon ahead of these in the AM class. So just to confirm, we've got a couple of early retirees. We've got Matthew, Stereotypy, Stones have all retired from this race. I think Liam Knott is also in the pits as well. I think Van Eck is also retired. So we've got 5 drivers out of this race early doors, and we've got Jack Slater down in 21st. He's got a drive, Scott Jones speeding in the pit lane. So what have we got going on here? I think we've got a back marker involved here. That could potentially be Jack Slater, who I was just talking about. We've managed to keep out of the way of these guys, which meant Will Friedman is still all over the back of Shadow Lancer like a rash, like sunburn on a hot summer's day. As he pulls to the inside a little bit, just to try and put off Shadow Lancer. Is he going to make a move on the hairpin? Shadow Lancer parks that BMW nicely on the inside, doesn't need the door open for Friedman. Gaps in front have just extended a little bit, so we've got Knight, who's currently the AM class leader in P5 overall. He's about a second and a half off Rui, who's likewise 1.1 off Wufka, who is likewise 1.3 off Canesa. So gaps are just starting to fragment. But we're on board with P16, which is the number 8 Mercedes of Will Friedman. He is trying to get the move done on Shadow Lancer. This is the battle for 15th place. Shadow Lancer's gone up the inside of McCutcheon. So McCutcheon, who I think had quite a poor 130R, he's lost the position to Shadow Lancer, and Shadow Lancer went up the inside of the chicane. He had to get that move done, Shadow Lancer, because he was coming under increasing pressure from Will Friedman. So McCutcheon there, he's lost the place down the 15th. He's now going to have Will Friedman on the... He's going to have the racing line. So McCutcheon's actually pulled out. I don't think he fought that one very hard. So Friedman's moved up. Has Hugo Seco got past McCutcheon? He has. So McCutcheon, in the space of 4 corners, has lost 3 places. And that's put him down to what, 17th? So Van Eck is still racing. We've got Jack Slater coming into the box now to serve his stop go. So Van Eck moves up to 22nd. Liam Knott is retired. Stones Racing is actually still back. He's gone back out. Stones is still racing. Stereotypy is boxed. Matthews is retired as well. Jax is still serving his stop go. So Van Eck actually may not move up. I think he could be a lap down. And Liam Knott. So we're on board with Frank, who is a reserve driver for the Pro Class tonight. He's currently finding himself in 9th. He was higher up the field, but he had an incident that's dropped him down to 9th, and he is coming up to the back of Jay Brooker, who is hoping to join us on the live stream after this feature race, give us a little bit of an insight to see how his races went. And he was all over the back of Mark Conway in P7, but there was an incident where Brooker did spin. I'm not sure if that was on his own accord or if that was contact with Mark. We'll find out after the race if he joins us. As we just jump on board with Rapid Duck, who according to our driver tracker is on the back of the AM class leader with Knight. And in fact, Mark Conway, who was a few seconds behind Rapid Duck, I think he's caught right up to the back of Rapid Duck. So Mark is having a good race tonight. He started P12 as Rapid Duck goes a little bit on the grass, coming into the Degners. Mark is going to be putting him all in the pressure. This is Mark Conway. As I was saying, he was P12 qualified, and he finished P8 in the sprint race. He's now found himself in 7th in the feature. He's having a couple of good races tonight, and he's looking to improve that even further by piling the pressure on the fellow BMW of Rapid Duck with 48 Beamer in P6. Rapid Duck was your race winner from the sprint at the Hungaroring last week out. Let's just jump back on board with Friedman and Schullanzer, because I believe there has just been a position swap. There has. So Friedman has finally got the move done on Shadow Lancer, and that has now released him. But the problem he's got Anderson 10 seconds up the road from him, and he's got 17 minutes remaining. So he needs to get a bit of a move on Friedman if he wants to catch Anderson. FSH, Ugacito, McCutcheon in the background, and Palermo. And Palermo, let's just give a shout out to Palermo in a 17 Porsche. He started back of the grid after missing out on the sprint race due to technical issues with his car / pedals. He's up to 17th in the feature race. So from back of the grid up to 17th, albeit 5 places of that will be because we had 5 cars for tyre. But nonetheless, that is a good position gain for Palermo. He'll be certainly happy with 17th, but he'll be aiming for even higher, as he's got the McLaren of McCutcheon and the Audi of Ugacito just up the road ahead of him. Right, there has been a lead change. Where has Morex gone? I think we've had a disconnect. I'm afraid to tell you, our race leader, Morex, is not in the lobby. I think, unfortunately, he's disconnected from the race. But what? Oh no, he's here. He's showing us 9th. No, he's not. He is back in. He's back in. Yeah, he got disconnected. That is unfortunate. That is horrible, horrible luck for Morex. He was controlling that race beautifully. He was 7 seconds out in front. And to be disconnected like that, ouch. Well, what that has meant though, ladies and gentlemen, is Canesa is your new race leader, but he's under a lot of pressure from Wufka. We have 15 minutes remaining. This is your battle for the race lead. Let's just try and keep an eye on Morex to see when he comes out of the pits. That is such bad luck for the 99 Mercedes. He's still in the pits. Let's just keep on board with these two for the moment, because this is your battle for the race lead with the 212 Porsche and the 55 BMW of Canesa and Wufka. This is the battle that we want to see. It certainly spiced things up for us. It's not spiced things up for Morex. That is just such hard luck. That's also meant Rui has moved up to 3rd, and Knight is your AM class leader in net overall P4. That'll be a cracking result if he can bring it home in 4th. He's under a lot of pressure from Rapid Duck. He's also under a lot of pressure from Conway. I think Conway will be hoping these two drivers up ahead will be getting into a little bit of a squabble, because he could suddenly find himself in P4. I'll stick on board with these two though, because this is your battle for the race lead. think Knight's made a bit of an error there in the chicane. Has he? Oh no, he's got away tonight. His traction out that corner's not been too bad. I think it sounded like he went over the curbs a little bit too much. He's got Rapid Duck in the slipstream though. Mark is not looking to follow the drivers. So Knight is under a lot of pressure here from Rapid Duck. Conway and the Black Beamer just lurking in the background there. Just hoping these two trip themselves up. Let's just jump back on board with the race leader just to see what's happening here. So Canesa still is leading Worcester. And we've got Ruby in third, who has just got a 5-second gap to these two. I believe he's got a nice, yeah, he's got a 14 second gap to P4. So Rui is in a nice little spot. He can just, well, again, he'll be similar to Conway. He'll be hoping these two trip over themselves. He'll probably want to ease up a little, close that gap a little bit to put Worcester under some pressure to make it a three-way. But if he can't, if he hasn't got the pace of these two, he's in a nice comfortable spot where he can just bring that car home for the podium position. Just back on board briefly with Rapid Duck as he's still all over the back of Knight. So Rapid Duck's got a lot better exit out of Spoon. Knight pulls to the inside to try and break that toe. He's going to have to, this is going to be incredibly close going into 130R. Is Rapid Duck going to send it up the inside? He's not going to follow him and probably try and make the move up on the chicane. I'd imagine in the braking zone. So Knight goes nice, takes them both hit the corner quite well. And on the heavy on the brakes, Knight manages to keep that Skechers Audi out in front. Now, a lot of pressure for the young man. As I said at the start of the commentary live stream, and he is, I think, the youngest driver on the grid, Knight. He's also on the controller as well. Let's just jump on board with P11 and P12 as we have Gedman and Anderson all over each other like a hot Tinder date. That's a triple eight of Anderson. He is following the Porsche through the chicane, and the Porsche is not great in a straight line. And these two, yet again, are just within a second of each other. 10 minutes remaining. The pressure is building for Canesa. Can Wufka keep this pressure on? Just keep within a second and really just try and pile the pressure on. The longer you stay within a second of someone and they can see you in the rear view mirror and the time is ticking down to the end of the race, it just makes every corner, every braking zone, every traction zone just so important. That's when the pressure builds. As we see Morex, who was leading the race, he's gone on purple lap. He's all the way down in P20 though. Such a shame. But he's continuing, and you've got to applaud the spirit to continue on, to come back in and still blast our result. You've got to hand it to him. It's a fair play, Morex. So, final 10 minutes, guys, and we've got a bit of a blockbuster building, I believe. As we see, Knight go a little bit wide on the exit, but unfortunately, Rapid Duck isn't close enough to to try and take advantage of that. So as I was saying, I believe we've got a bit of a blockbuster building. We've got the battle for first and second raging on out in front. And then we've got the battle for fourth here, as we see Knight. He's gone, he's lost the car on the exit, on the entry of turn 1, and Rapid Duck has gone through. So Rapid Duck goes through to take P4, and it looks like Knight made a mistake. He was flashing the headlights. I'm not sure why. I don't believe there was contact between the two, unless I need to get myself down to Specsavers, but I think he just lost it on his own accord. That means Conway is now potentially got an Audi ahead of him who's gone and scrubbed kind of dirty tyres, but he finds himself 3 seconds back. However, saying that, Knight looks like he's piling the pressure back onto Rapid Duck. We'll definitely stick on board with these two. Just conscious of a battle out in front. I'll try and not miss any position change for the race lead. They're coming around Spoon now, the two leaders. In fact, I'm just going to jump on board with these two because Wufka looks a little bit closer to Kanesa, down heading into 130R. Kanesa is very close now, Wufka, he's very close. Can he get in a slipstream of that BMW? As we cross into lap 17. As we're on board now with Knight and Rapid Ducks, and these two again fighting. We've got battle going on all over the place. So they've gone all the way over to the left-hand side of the track. Rapid Duck has gone quite defensive to try and break that toe. Knight is certainly looking extremely speedy around here in that Audi. He's just got to stick tight, moving through the S's. Conway just can't seem just to stick with these two guys. Pace just seems a little bit quicker than Conway. But he's there, lurking, waiting for anything to happen. As we see Wufka coming up to the hairpin with the race leader. Come on, cameraman, let's catch up. What kind of exit do these two get? Oh, Wufka's extremely close now. He's practically pushing that BMW around the corner. He pulls out wide a little bit. Is he going to make a move into Spoon? I don't think he will, you know, he's not quite close enough, but could he get a better exit? As both are quite late on the brakes. Wufka is sensing a race win here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a blockbuster 5-minute ending here, I feel. Just quickly jump on board a little bit down the grid. We've got Frank and Naisbitt who are battling away for P8 and P9 respectively. Heading into Spoon. So this is where the main drama is. We've got the flashing lights of Kanesa. Has he got a back mark ahead of him? He has. He's got the car number 71. I don't think he's that close to him though. Who is car number 71? That's Stones Racing in the Lambo. He's just up the road. I don't think he was close enough to be flashed, but we'll just keep an eye on that. I mean, he's certainly feeling the pressure. He won't want to see a back marker just holding him up when he's got P2 in his rear view mirror. So guys, just while we've got a little bit of an interlude heading into the final 4 minutes, just a reminder, please do drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed the live stream tonight. Even if you're watching back during the week, drop a like in the video. And if you're not already subscribed to FRL on YouTube and on Twitch as well, please do subscribe, because there's more racing like this throughout the week, both on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 and PC. So if you want your fix of GT racing, FRL is the home of it. And also, just to put a little bit of a punt in there, and if you are racing within FRL, please do check out our Patreon subscription benefits. There is 3 tiers, and just for the sake of £3 a month, you can become a official supporter of FRL. All costs go towards the running and admin of the servers and such. Your support is very much appreciated. So 3.5 minutes remaining. Wufka is all over the back of Canesa like a seagull on Brighton Pier looking for a drop bag of fish and chips. I think the pressure, we'll probably see the steam coming out of the cockpit of Canesa's BMW because he's that much under pressure, but the gap that last lap has just extended a little bit to a second, so Wolfgang maybe just made a minor mistake, lost a couple of tenths. That will give Canesa just a little bit of breathing space. Let's just quickly jump back on board with Rapid Duck because his gap to Knight has also dropped to 2.4. That's brought Conway back into the battle for P5. So Rapid Duck looks like he's going to be cementing his P4 because of that gap. And the battle between Frank and Naisbitt still rages on. These two are still fighting for the P8. And they've got a couple of minutes to conclude this battle. But let's just stick on board with the front because I do not want to miss a potential position change for a race lead within the final 2 minutes. I do try and bring action throughout the grid all the way down to the final places, but when you've got the battle for the race lead heading into the final few laps, you do not want to miss it. And as I was saying in the sprint race, it is ever so hard to overtake around here. You've really got to have quite a pace advantage. As we've got car 48 off in the entry of Degner 1. Who is that? That's Rapid Duck! So Rapid Duck, who was battling away with Knight and Conway, has lost it at the entry to Degner 1. So let's just quickly wait for the UI to update to find out who is the winners and losers from that. Obviously the loser is Rapid Duck. It's still showing him P4, but I don't believe he is still P4. As we see, Wolfgang go extremely wide. We've got the flashing lights of the Canesa trying to get that back marker out of the way. I'd imagine he'll just upshift early, or just let off the brake, let off the accelerator a little bit, just to let these two drivers go who he is. He's pulling away nicely. That's really respectable driving from that back marker. Can't quite work out who that is, but good racing. So, wow, look at this. Who I was just saying, Conway, who was waiting for Knight and Rapid Duck to trip over themselves. He's lurking in the background. It's paid off. He's up to fourth. So Mark Conway took advantage of Rapid Duck making a mistake, and he's up to P4. It must have been contact between Rapid Duck and Knight because Conway was behind Knight. So whether Rapid Duck went off and that potentially Knight came round to Degner 1, Degner 2 and it was a bit of contact, I don't know. We'll find out after the race hopefully. But either way, Conway's up to 4th and he started 13th and he's now up to P4 for Mark Conway. Cracking result. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the battle for first place, the battle for the feature race, the battle for glory. Canesa's going extremely defensive. Wolfgan's just going to have to really send it if he's going to want it. He's sitting at the inside. Is he over the inside? He isn't. That's the camera angle making the commentator think he was sending it at the inside. I thought he was going full Daniel Ricciardo send. He wasn't quite doing that. But what kind of exit has he got down the straight? He's a little bit too far back. The Porsche is not quick in the straight line either. Canesa has just got to pick his braking zones here, and he brings that Beamer home for a feature race win. I think he's done it, ladies and gentlemen. If he gets his traction out of this corner, that will be it. So Canesa, who was not on the pace of Morex, we see Morex got disconnected, who was 8 seconds out in front. He got disconnected, but that does not matter because Canesa has won. Canesa is your race winner. Wolfgang pushed him all the way. That was a cracking last 10 minutes. Seeing those two battle out. Rui comes home in third, flashing the lights. Conway is going to come home in P4 if he doesn't mess it up on the final few corners. That is a really good drive from Mark Conway. He'll be a happy chappy, I know that. As he flashes the lights. Good result, Mark. Brooker, who was showing us 5th, he's got severe damage on the front of that Audi, and he's lost places. So Knight come home in 5th. Frank comes home in 6th. Naisbit 7th. Brooker 8th. Rapid Duck has got damage to the front of that Beamer as well. He's got flappy bonnet syndrome. He's going to come home in 9th. Chavez, who did not have a great sprint race, has had a better feature race. He comes home in 10th. That's the top 10. Anderson in 11th. Gedman, who has got Shadow Lancer all over the back of him, he's going to bring it home in 12th. He's giving a little bit of a weave. Shadow Lancer 13th, Yukasito 14th, Palermo 15th from the back of the grid. Palermo from back of the grid. Cracking drive, Palermo. McCutcheon is going to come home in 16th with MPL already finished. So MPL 17th, Rogers 18th. Let's just jump back to the main timetable. So Morex, if you missed halfway through race 2, he was leading this feature race by about 8 or 9 seconds, and unfortunately he got disconnected. He's come back into the lobby, rejoining 20th. He's got back up to 19th, so that's unfortunate for Morex, but you got to applaud him for finishing the race. Friedman in 20th. Apologies, commentator clicking the wrong button there. Vanek 21st, Stones Racing 22nd, Jack Slater 23rd, Liam Knott 24th, Moggs 25th, and Stereotypy 26th. And rounding out the grid was Matthews in 27th. Those 4 drivers were early retirees due to quite a severe accident on lap 2 or lap 3. So, those are your 2 races. Now, I believe we're going to try and get a interview with one of the drivers. Axel Racing, yes, exclamation marks, cracking result, Mark. Really is, from P12 to 4th. Got a little bit lucky with some drivers going off ahead of you, but you've got to be there. I was saying on the stream, mate, that you're in the background in the black livery, trying to blend in and be camouflaged and just wait for drivers to trip over themselves, and the luck came to you. So cracking result. I know you'll be happy with that one. So let's just see if we can get you a driver interview. Like a cat ready to pounce. Yes, you certainly were, young man. So just bear with me for a moment, guys. I'll be back with you in 30 seconds. So Jay, talk to us about your couple of races. You were quite involved, weren't you? I saw you on stream. A bit of damage here and there, a bit of contact. So give us your rundown.
Yeah, so basically race 1, didn't qualify as well as I wanted to. Some of them boys running ridiculous times, so fair play to all of them. Audi not my first choice of car, but wanted to use it for a bit of fun, and got a cracking jump off the green light. Managed to stay clean on the inside. Had a bit of contact in the S's, which was just racing stuff, unfortunately. Managed to stay kind of out of trouble after that, and then unfortunately, rapid duck coming into the hairpin sent it a little bit deep, and unfortunately took me off, which was a shame because we weren't in the. Obviously, he's Pro-Am, which was a shame, and just brought it back from there really. And then race 2, same again really, up the inside, managed to stay clean. There was a lot of carnage in the S's, and I know Liam not on a couple of the others. Lost it going into the midsection just before the bridge. Again, I clipped Liam there, and I've apologised to him, but just one of those again. Racing incident. Made a few silly mistakes running onto the grass in some of the heavy braking zones, and lost it a couple of places here and there, unfortunately. Managed to kind of pull it back together with some average pace, race pace, and very average. Nez was coming up from behind. He had really, really good, strong pace towards the second half of that race then, and managed to see in front that Vantage was kind of, it looked like he was having a bit of a dice with Rapid Duck and
He was,
Axel, which looking forward to watching it back, but managed to catch him on the last lap, and I feel like I put my car in a good position. Coming into the fast left-hander, my car was ahead, and out of nowhere I just get clipped, and I just couldn't do anything, and then my steering was, my wheel turned at 180 degrees after I hit the wall.
Ouch.
And unfortunately come home in third, but is what it is. We'll put a ticket in, see what the stewards decide, and we'll go from there. But certainly not my favourite track.
Yeah, it's a hard race, Suzuka. I think it was so many. It's really hard to overtake, isn't it? Like you got pretty much got to follow a car through 3/4 of the lap. You've only really got turn 1 as an opportunity to overtake. If you get a good run off the chicane, you've then got the hairpin. So yeah, it's a tricky track to overtake, but no, you brought it home. That's the main thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, fair play to them boys up front. They were obviously on a completely different level, really. They're obviously driving their own pace, and hopefully, well, look forward to watching it back, to be honest. But I know obviously in the night as well, it obviously makes it even more entertaining. I didn't realise actually just how bad I feel like my brakes went off towards the end. I don't know if it was my brakes or my tyres, but I started kind of running deep into a lot of the braking points. But it's one of those things, live and learn, and hopefully come back next week and have some more fun and see what we can do.
Yeah, and you've got Taco's Tuesday, and you're racing Tuesday, aren't you, in Tier 3? Are you Tier 3?
Tier 3, yeah, in the Aston. I'm looking forward to being back in the Aston, to be honest. The R8, I feel like it wants to kill me at every opportunity. It's very, very fast, but I miss the stable old Aston, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the Aston is quite it's stable, isn't it? A lot better.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Cool. And then so looking ahead to next week, then Silverstone. Are you fairly quick round Silverstone, or is it a track you like?
Not particularly. I've done about 40 minutes of driving around there just in free practice in single player. That's it. So I think I'm at about a 2:02. So nothing special, but I'll try and get a bit of practice in after Tuesday and see what we can do. But I'm certainly looking forward to it more than I was doing today. Well,
nice one.
It's been really good actually. I feel like a lot of the guys were really respectful, and it was good to see the likes of wee Danny going well in quali. I know he's been practicing hard, so fair play to him, and looking forward to racing him on Tuesday in Taco.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, thank you for joining us on the live stream, and I think you've got a few people joining us just to catch your interview alone, so you've certainly got a couple of fans out there.
There's a couple of good guys out there, and we have a good laugh in the week practicing, so it's one of them, and it's about having fun at the end of the day. So
yeah, nice one. Well, best of luck for Tuesday, mate, and thank you for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.
sign my hat, please. Look at that. Jay Brooker leaving the pit lane with fans waiting for signatures on his hat. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, guys, that's your racing for tonight. As I alluded to on that little chat there with Jay Brooker, we've got Taco Tuesdays. You guessed it, coming up on Tuesday night at Suzuka, and then next week we head to the Silverstone, which is a lot of, it's a favourite for a lot of drivers. So that track will be offering up some great racing. I have no doubt about that. So thank you for joining me on the live stream. Please do drop a like on the video, drop a subscribe on FRL, check out the Patreon channel, and also check out our subscribers. The Super Sprint Sunday is sponsored by PureSimGear. These guys do have a lot of racing gear. You want racing socks, gloves, you name it, they've got it. Check them out. They are our title sponsor. So your commentator tonight has been FRL Lewis, also known as Louis UK, also known as Al Robertson. I've got like 3 different names, 3 different personalities. I am racing on Tuesday night in Tier 1. You can catch my live stream if you're interested in that. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you all guys next week. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.